Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all here. This is the Philadelphia College Prep Roundtable meeting. November is National Scholarship Month, and we hope that everyone is doing all they can or best to learn more about the opportunities that are out there, passing them along to your clients, those who need the information, prepping people for scholarships, right?
Well, thank you, Thomas, and good morning. We are so excited to be here with you today during National Scholarship Month. As mentioned, I am Richard Lee Snow, and I'm privileged to serve as the Regional Development Director for UNCF, also known as the United Negro College Fund. And being the Regional Director, my territory includes the entire states of Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and then I also have South Jersey and the District of Columbia. So that is our region. We refer to it as the Mid-Atlantic region, just geographically, because that's what it is. And over that footprint, I have 3 offices, one in Richmond, Virginia, one in Washington, D.C., and the one here in Philadelphia that John now oversees. And he has 2 colleagues, one in Richmond and one in Washington, D.C., that I manage as well. And so for the Philadelphia region, and that's what we're going to talk about here today, we call them campaigns, so it'll be the Philadelphia campaign that John oversees. He covers the entire states of West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and he also has South Jersey. So that is the footprint of the Philadelphia campaign. And so we're glad to be here today to talk a little bit to you about who we are and what we do. And so we put this deck together that we hope will give you a good idea. And then at the end, certainly we'll be open to questions. So as we move into the contents or the agenda for today, you'll see that we'll give you a brief overview, again, who we are, what we do, talk a little bit about our national reach, and then about the relevancies of HBCUs, because that is important always, but particularly during these days and times. Our impact is broad, both nationally and locally. We'll share some figures for you. And then John will go through our whole process for scholarships and be able to walk you through some things. And then at the end, we'll entertain any questions that you may have, and we'll try to give you answers as well. So who is UNCF? Who are we? And that's pretty clear. We've been around since 1944. When we were founded solely because there were a group of private HBCUs that weren't getting overall funding. They weren't state schools, so they weren't getting state funding and some other federal funding either. So we came together to raise money for those particular member schools, is what we call them. We have 37 of those today to help them stay relevant and remain open. And so we provide operating capital for them and have been doing so since 1944. As we grew and matured, we became expert in scholarships. And that's what most people know us for, our scholarship giving. We're the largest provider of minority scholarships in the country. And all of our scholarships are need-based. So you do not have to go to an HBCU to receive a UNCF scholarship. You can go to any institution. Our scholarships follow the student, and we have students at particularly all of the schools in the Philadelphia area, and we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. Now, what is it that we do? Well, a lot, so to speak, but here you see the numbers of what we do. You'll see that we administer over 100 million scholarships a year, and that's through, we have 400 scholarship programs and internship programs. So when John goes through that and takes you on our website, there are so many opportunities for students to find something that fits them. We have 37 member schools, as I suggested. They are, in fact, our bosses. We're contracted and constituted to support those 37 member schools, and we do so at somewhere about an average of $300,000 a year per school. And as we've grown since 1944, and John will touch a little bit about this later, we've raised over $5 billion to support our efforts across all of our programs. I wanted to show you this slide because I think it's valuable and important. It gives you the landscape of UNCF and tells you exactly why we're relevant today. As you can see, when you consider our UNCF scholars, our 37 member institutions, and our area offices, such as the Philadelphia office, we touch every state across the union, which is important because we're uniquely designed to support you on a local basis, on a regional basis, or on a national basis. And so that's why we show this footprint. On the right-hand side, you see a list of all 37 of our member institutions. But I want to make this clear, even though we physically support these 37 member institutions with operating funds, we work with and support all HBCUs. And I guess a prime example of that is that here in the Philadelphia area, we have two HBCUs, Lincoln University of Pennsylvania and Cheney University of Pennsylvania. And so neither of them are HBCU, are in UNCF member schools. But everything we do here in the Philadelphia area, we take them into account. They're benefactors from our balls and some of our other special events because at the end of the day, we want to support everyone, whether they're a member school or not. Mm-hmm. And so with that, John is going to dig a little bit deeper and take you into some of our facts and go from there.
All right. Thanks, Richard. So hello all, good morning. I just want to give you a little bit of insight into some of the national impact that we've seen over our time. So over the 75 years that we've been in existence, we've been able to raise over $5 billion to help support the work that we do, again, supporting those schools and supporting students through scholarships, as well as programs, fellowships, things like that. And that is both at the undergraduate and the graduate level where we have some scholarships available and fellowship programs is available as well. You'll see annually about 8,000 students graduate from UNCF member institutions, the colleges and universities, those 37 that we speak about. 10,000 scholarships are awarded to students via 400 UNCF scholarship programs that we have, again, the 25 million plus in emergency student aid, which we find is really important as well, because students oftentimes, well, not often, but hopefully not often, but sometimes some students find themselves in emergency situations as it relates to food or housing and such. And so we step up in that area as well and make sure that they have some dollars to allow them to complete their college education. And again, 100 million plus of scholarships awarded to students every year through UNCF. What we do here locally. So this is just to give you some sense of our 2021-22 data and our local area impact here. You'll see the total number of scholarships, and we always want this number to go up, but we think we're doing pretty well, as this is annually, we're seeing about the same number. Total scholarships at the state level, about 237 scholarships given. And here in the city of Philadelphia, 109 scholarships. Total number of students, just about 100 here in Philadelphia and 210 from the Pennsylvania area overall. You'll see about 1.5 million awarded in total scholarships to those Philadelphia students, which we think is so important, with an average scholarship of about 13,000 or so, and a total amount awarded of just over 2 million in the Pennsylvania area at that state level, with an average scholarship of about 9,000 or so. You'll see a list of the 2021-22 year, some of those schools that our students were more likely to go to, although depending on the year, you'll see that those numbers change. We've had students go to all of the Philadelphia area schools, as well as schools all over the country. We'll see this year, or that 2021-22 year, about 17 students with the Howard University. Drexel here, right here in the city, had 12 students. We've seen that fluctuate where sometimes we have more go to Temple or Penn and such. And so we're very supportive of students from the area. We want to be more supportive. We want to make sure that you all know how to help your students find those scholarships and apply for those scholarships, because we want that impact to be even greater.
And so, you know, the crux of our conversation today is around the relevancy of HBCUs. And we know today more than anything, not only are they more popular, but students are choosing as an option to attend HBCU rather than the PWI Institute, and that has changed over the years. And you may ask the question, why? Well, I'm glad you asked, because these statistics say it best. Over 70% of all African-American dentists come from HBCUs, 40% of engineers. And if you look at our congressional representatives, you see that they're coming from HBCUs in a meaningful percentage as well. But the one statistic, or the one thing that I enjoy most, is number 4. Well, it tells you from Spelman and Bennett, two of the sister schools in this country, produce over half of all African-American female PhD candidates, and that's more than all of the others combined. So that is truly important to me, and I really like to share that. But how are we doing locally? Pennsylvania HBCUs. Well, we have 2 here in Pennsylvania, as I mentioned, Lincoln and Cheney, and just between the 2 of them and their graduates, that's $206 million of total economic impact that comes out of that university along with its students, providing 1,660 jobs. That's the total employment impact. And then at the end of the day, for a lifetime earnings, those schools provide $1.6 billion. So at the end of the day, HBCUs have always been, are, and will always be relevant in this country.
Thanks, Richard. Getting back to I was reading the comments there, and I'll get to some of those questions toward the end. What's most important here is we think that you should know how to help your students get to the scholarships, right? How to help them get to the programs, to the fellowships. Those of you who may be familiar with UNCF, if you go to our website, you may have known that we had a system and that we use to manage our scholarships, our portal. We have just enacted a new system. And as of October 17th, any new applications or programs that have opened up and after that date will be on the new system. So I'm going to talk more about that new system today, as I just want to show you just really quickly how you get set up and registered, or how you can walk a student through setting up and registering on that system. I did it myself just so I can be familiar with the process. It was pretty easy. But again, if you are familiar, then you can still go on and use that previous system for now, as there are still some programs and scholarships there that are open previous to October 17th. That's me. Yep. So again, just a bit that I talked about there. If you have any questions or concerns, and we can share this out later as well, but about that new portal, how you use it, what's going on with it, you can always reach out to us, and we can follow up with our colleagues in our central office, or you can also reach out to scholarships@uncf.org, and they can answer any questions as well. Again, so the website that you go to, pretty simple, uncf.org/scholarships. You register for your account, and then you start to search, apply, complete, submit. We always make sure that you complete. We have students that go on, start an application and say, hey, I never heard back, but never actually completed or submitted their application for that scholarship. So we always want to make sure that they complete the process. Here's what it looks like when you go to that to our scholarships page. You will see the new scholarship application system has arrived. From there, you'll find a link to be able to go on and start. It'll bring you to this new page. You'll see this landing page where you'll have a button to log in or register. Once you click that button, it'll bring you to a login page. If you do not have a login yet, you would go to need to register, which I circled there in red. Pretty simple. Like many other systems you see, we actually use Salesforce on the back end. You'll put in your email address, determine whether you're an applicant or you're a reference for a student, or you're a faculty applicant. Again, we have fellowships and things like that as well. So you apply there, you start your registration, and then you're off. You know, as normal, you put in your personal information, your name, your contact information, phone number, address, street address, and everything. And I just want to say what's important about making sure that we have the correct address and residential information is some of our scholarships are tailored towards students from certain states or who may even be from certain areas of a state or a certain city. So we want to make sure that we have that correct information, as you may get more targeted scholarships for that student. You'll also see here that we then ask for demographic information. Again, as you know, you're familiar with scholarship systems, but some are based on gender, some may be based on your overall age, your ethnicity, again, residency status. We ask for social security number. Again, this is connected to U.S. government, Social Security Administration. This helps us just confirm residential status so that, again, we can supply those scholarships properly. After that, it'll ask you for education information. This is just the start of that page. Once you click whether you're a student or what level student you are, a high school student, a college student, it'll then open up a few more tabs asking you to put in more details about what school you go to, what's your GPA currently, what schools you're looking to go to. If you're a high school student, your anticipated graduation date, your anticipated major, and overall study interest. So it'll ask for all of that information, because even still, some of our scholarships are tailored toward people who are going into particular areas of study. So we want to make sure we get that information. So again, we can tailor that scholarship process to you. After that, you'll be finished the registration process. It's pretty simple. I got through it in less than 5 minutes or so. You put in your registration, you'll get a registration email just like this. You'll click that link to set your password up. It'll take you to a portal to ask you to get a verification code. As we see, two-step verification all over the place now. So this is the two-step verification process. You'll put that verification code in, set yourself up a new password there, and then you're off. It'll bring you to our new system. This is our, again, the Salesforce landing page. You'll know you're in if you'll see the kind of avatar person up in your upper right-hand corner that I have, again, circled in red there. And at that point, you can start searching for scholarships.
Gentlemen, thank you so very, very much for your time this morning. We know that you're very busy and you're doing your things. Please don't be strangers and stay in touch with us. I just want to also let everybody know that the Philadelphia office of the HBC of UNCF is an institutional member of PCPR, so they're always on and down with us. We thank them for that. We're going to strengthen our, in a strategic way, our connections. And I know the first step was to get John on board from their side first. And then once we go from there, then we're going to move forward. Jen, we know you got to jump out. Thank you again very, very much for being here. And again, you always have an open invitation to come to our meetings.
Yeah, and personal for you, both John and I say thank you and in the bond. So.
Thank you. That's right.
No problem. No problem.